Look, I think I've been very blessed and fortunate that I've been able to collect some of these special editions and sexy special edition versions of some of these books. But I am a little bit reluctant to talk about them because I feel like this will be the first video on my channel that gets tagged for explicit adult content. Hey, what's up, bookworms? Mike back today to talk a little something special, a little something sexy, rather. Make it a little spicy today, guys. Well, a question I got a lot in my live stream was, what is the sexiest edition of a book that you own? And there were several of them that I wanted to mention, but I said I couldn't really think about all of them. So I said, how about I make a video for you guys talking about my 10 sexiest books in my collection, be special edition or collector's edition or something like that, because I have several of those that I would put in that category, but I've narrowed it down to 10 here, and we're going to talk about that and kind of show them off today. So again, I like to say up front that I want to thank those who have sent some of these to me, and I want to thank myself for going back to school late in life. That way I could afford some of these outrageously expensive editions here. So you know who you are if you sent some of these to me. I thank you so much because you guys have made my dreams come true. So guys, let's dive into it with an honorable mention. Now look, the reason this is an honorable mention is because it's a very beautiful book, but I don't think it's a special edition or a collector's edition. It's just straight from the publisher, Blackstone Publishing. This is James Clavell's Shogun. This is beautiful black leather. It's stunning. It has the inscription on the back and everything. All the pages have like this cool font on it, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful book. And like I said, it doesn't show as an actual collector's edition, so I don't know if you can really call it that. But it's so pretty, I wanted to include it here because it is one of the handsomest books in my handsomest or most handsome books in my collection. So I want to kind of talk about it there for a minute. So I haven't read this yet. It's one that I get asked a lot if I have read it, and I would love to. Okay, guys, again, these aren't ranked. These are just the 10. I don't think I would be able to rank these because they are all absolutely beautiful books that I'm just thankful to have. How about Folio Society? Let's dive into the Folio Society books first because they're the heaviest and they're taking up the most space on my desk over here. Let's begin with my favorite book of all time, guys. That is Dune by Frank Herbert. This is a lovely, lovely Folio Society edition. Now look, someone's going to say, oh, I think that the deluxe version is prettier. Look, I think that deluxe version is very pretty for the blue sprayed edges. But guys, this is next level. I never thought that I would be able to get this collection, or get this version added to my collection. This was like a bucket list one for me. It was just a little too rich for me when it came out, and someone was very, very kind to me and did send it my way. But as far as I know, that was the first time I had ever saw a map in a Dune book. So that was right off the bat very, very cool. You see, it's got several. Here's the Gomer Jabbar scene. So Folio Society, what they're going to do is going to be very handsome hardcovers, very impressive art, and it's going to be something that really just makes you find something, just an unforgettable scene in a book, and it's going to bring that to life for you. We pay for the sins of our fathers. It's just an amazing, amazing edition, and there's nothing in here that could make me actually read from this edition, because I do have like 6 different versions of Dune now, but I would not want to read from this out of fear of hurting it. But in fact, I don't even like handling it right now without gloves, if I'm being honest. And you're going to see that happen a bit. My wife still thinks that's weird. She's like, why would you have something in your collection and not read it? It is what it is. You know, I have read from some of these, I'm not going to lie, but if I have an alternate version of it, I'm going to read from that one. Now, this next one I haven't actually read yet, but a viewer did send this to me with hopes that I would someday, and that means that I will read it someday, but I have no plans at the moment. I want to finish Malazan before I get into anything as heavy as Gene Wolfe's book of the New Sun. This might be the most handsome Folio Society edition out there, and I'm going to show you why. Obviously, first, it is a double volume. It has some really cool stuff that I'm sure is going to make sense when you read it, but I don't know. Everybody that's read this says it doesn't really make sense. But let's go ahead and talk about some of this artwork here. The covers are obviously stunning. Take a peek at those there. These colors just pop so damn well. So that is for Sword and Citadel. I don't know if that's books 1 and 2 or 3 and 4. Not really sure. Let me see if I can find you guys some art here and show you just how ridiculous some of this is. Nah, that's not a good one. Hang on. Actually, you know what? They're all good. Don't get me wrong. But there's some that are just way more representative of the work that Folio Society does. I don't know what that is, but it looks amazing, right? So I think there's so much stuff about Gene Wolfe that I don't know yet, and everyone tells me that I will really click with it, but you know what? You might not necessarily understand it. Let's go ahead and look at, well, there's one more. Hey, it's a little bit of adult content like I was talking about there. Let's look at the next one. Now this one is for Shadow and Claw. Again, I don't think you can really grasp on video just how much these colors do pop. They look absolutely stunning. And again, these are just so well put together. Folio stuff just feels so good in your hand. I know it feels weird to say that to some people. They're like, what does that mean? It feels good in your hand. It just feels so sturdy. It feels like, oh, that's got way too much nudity for me to show you guys. So yes, I think that Book of the New Sun might be a little out there, a little strange, but this edition is just absolutely remarkable. So if you are a fan of Book of the New Sun and you're looking to take the plunge, I would say it is absolutely worth it. I know it is maybe one of the more expensive ones. I don't know. I think those Song of Ice and Fire ones might be more expensive because I wanted to get Storm of Swords on there, and it's just like the shipping alone I couldn't pull it because those are heavy, guys. I mean, you can get a workout from lifting these right here. And one more Folio Society edition that is the aforementioned A Song of Ice and Fire. Now, look, both A Game of Thrones and A Clash of Kings, I have those two. They're both beautiful, but for the sake of this video, we'll just keep it to just A Game of Thrones. And I think the reason that I put this one on there is because this one does come with a map, a giant map. Talk about, there's stuff on the inside of the box too. You got your White Walkers. I don't know if you can see the other stuff, but it's got other stuff in there. So they've taken their time with just the clamshell here. They still call them a clamshell or a slip sleeve. And so again, 2 editions here for A Game of Thrones. Yes, it is that nice, isn't it? So this is the first half. You got all your house sigils here. It's fun, guys, because I think that everybody got so desensitized during the show that they don't remember what the sigils look like outside of the show. They do look a little different inside the books, depending on what illustration that you have. But these seem to be the familiar ones that I've seen a bunch. What I love about this, look, the art's great. Don't get me wrong, the art is impressive, of course. But the thing that I like about this is each chapter has an illustration depending on what house they are. And I think that's just amazing. And there's Daenerys with the heart scene. So yeah, again, if you are a big Song of Ice and Fire fan, I think you're going to be quite happy with what you find here. That's not a sign or a portent at all. Yeah. So again, this one's very much matches the first set, but the art's going to be a little different, obviously, because it's different parts of the book. But I do love the sigils and the way that the font is written in here. It just looks like an old-time scroll or something. I think it's just so beautiful. So they've really outdone themselves with these Song of Ice and Fire ones. But like I said, in doing so, I think they've outpriced them to where I can't in good conscience spend the money at some of these costs right now, because I feel like my wife would probably get upset about it. But then you do get the known world. This is the biggest map, guys. I don't really want to unfold it right now, but let's just say it's massive. You will need your whole floor to open this sucker up. But it's the most impressive map. If I could find a frame big enough that I felt good about, and I had the space on my wall to hang it up, I would, because this is the most impressive map. It is a full color map, and it's just beautiful. And Folio Society, that's why they mostly stay undefeated. So how about some Barnes and Noble collector's editions? They've got some really nice ones. Let's take a peek at some of those. What I like about the Barnes and Noble ones is they're all well put together. They all are kind of uniform. They all have like the same structure in the way that they're put together. They all have like this little ridge that I'll show you here in a second. But they all have sprayed edges. There's no real illustrations or anything as far as I know in any of them. They're just very handsome collections, and they all have sprayed edges. And that means with the Vampire Chronicles by Anne Rice. This is just the first 3 books. This is Interview with the Vampire, Lestat, and The Queen of the Damned, which in my opinion is far enough for you to read. As someone who loves that series, I can tell you, if that's all you read, you'll be fine. But yeah, sprayed edges, they all have the nice ribbon marker, all that. But they all have like this little ridge right here, which you would think is not a big deal. But when you line several of them up together, it makes them look so uniformed and pretty. It's very, very nice. But you want to talk about a solid feeling book. They put theirs together so well. The binding is so well done, so tight. It just feels impressive. It's incredible collections, guys. And that's why I could not resist but getting more than one of them. I also got The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas. Now this, guys, I don't want to talk about the books too much, just kind of talk about the collections. But I mean, to me, guys, this is the quintessential tale of revenge that everything's been trying to copy for centuries. So why would I not want to get this beautiful collector's edition? This, guys, is an amazing book, and I implore you, if you're going to read it, make sure you read the unabridged version, because it leaves so much out if you're reading the abridged version. Again, nice sprayed edges. Got, I don't know, you got stuff in here. But like I said, there isn't very much illustrations or nothing in these. So if you're wanting the illustrations, I think I would lean more towards Folio when it comes to collector's editions. But if you just want something that's a very handsome, well put together hardcover, and again, they're all uniform and look beautiful on your shelf, I definitely think that the Barnes & Noble collector's editions are the way to go. This one is really kind of like the complete works of Lewis Carroll, but it's mostly based around Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. This is my wife's favorite book of all time, is Adventures in Wonderland, or Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. But again, very well put together. You got the silver sprayed edges. You got the tea party on the back. So I feel like by now most people know Alice in Wonderland, even if it's just from the Disney cartoon. They know Alice in Wonderland. I mean, I think that this is just a story that is going to last forever. It's going to last many generations past all of us. And, it all started with Alice here falling down that rabbit hole. And I think that there's so many things in pop culture that we use for Alice in Wonderland. I mean, you can hear anything talk about, how far down does the rabbit hole go. So very influential series and a very beautiful collection. I love that blue. It's almost like that Houston Oiler blue or Tennessee Titans blue. I love that. I love that. Same thing, by the way, Oilers, Titans. And then, of course, my main man, Edgar Allan Poe, getting his complete works here. I'm not really crazy about poetry, but Poe's different. I feel like Poe is one of those that kind of transcends that if you're into that at all. But again, same uniformed edge. Looks really, really sharp. This one's silver, which really pops. And you got the nice, the very famous, quoth the raven nevermore on the back. But yeah, I love these Barnes & Noble editions. Again, if you're looking for illustrations, you might want to find other places, like I think Broken Binding or Folio Society might be for you. But if you're wanting books that are just very well put together and you're actually going to read from them, I think that the Barnes & Noble collector's editions are the way to go. They're quite affordable too, guys. Most of them they'll all the time have these on like 2 for $50 or just selling them for $25. I think that's a hell of a deal for these amazing, amazing editions. I just mentioned Broken Binding. I do have one from the Broken Binding. This was rather recent that I did get this. This is A Blood and Fire by Ryan Cahill, done by the Broken Binding. The first book in the Bound and the Broken. And I don't think Broken Binding has ever made an ugly book. I think that their stuff is just absolutely impressive. And the thing is you take the covers off and they're almost just as sexy. They do the naked hardcover as well here. I mean, this is ridiculous. This is absurd. This might be the sexiest book in here. I don't know. This is really, really impressive. Again, on the back, you've got the dragon scales. Is that something? Ooh, yeah. And then on the inside, guys, that's the thing, is you want to talk about illustrations. This one has the maps. It has all kinds of stuff. It has some of the coolest scenes in that first book. I feel like Ryan must have been consulting them on what he wanted commissioned, because these are some of the coolest scenes in that first book. And the art, I don't think there's a bad piece of art in this one. I looked at all the art when I first got it, because I'd already read the book. And I don't want to read it again just to look at the art. But the art's just incredible. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I probably said incredible and amazing and fantastic like a dozen times here, but that's what these books are to me. They're just absolutely beautiful works of art. And you know what? Sometimes if you don't consider books art, how about we add a little art to it? Because I think we go our whole lives being like, oh, you get to that certain age where you read books without pictures anymore, and then we get a little older and we're like, well, I want some books with some art. That's the same thing, right? It's books with pictures in them. So there we go. Now these last couple aren't from any of the big special edition factories like Folio or the Barnes & Noble special editions or the Broken Binding, but there's some that have been released as a special edition on their own. First, obviously, going to be Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. This is done through his Dragon Steel book company, and this is stunning. I actually made a video for this years ago when I first got it, because I think this was the first time I'd ever spent that much money for a special edition leather bound like this. And I think the question I get asked all the time in a lot of my videos is like, what's that book with the star on it? Or what's that book you got with the sword on? That's Nightblood, bro. Anyway, the art in this is next level. I'm just going to show you guys some of this art here that will just completely blow you away. And even if you aren't into some of the things in this book, I think that this might be the most handsome special edition Brandon Sanderson book without a doubt. It's just absolutely gorgeous. Vasher there. Look at that. That's just too wicked, isn't it? So yeah, this is amazing. You got more art all through this thing. You have beautiful art. Some of the best art I've seen. I think it's that same artist who does some of the Stormlight illustrations that are just gorgeous. But again, I mentioned it with the Song of Ice and Fire one, is he has the same thing with the beginning of each chapter, has like some kind of sigil, really cool font. And yeah, it's just a beautiful book. And I know there are people who've gotten all these. They're just expensive and it adds up quick, but you are getting quality stuff. It is absolutely worth the cost. Don't get me wrong. It's a very expensive habit to have. You feel like you got to buy one of those. You got to buy all of them. I said I'd do it for Warbreaker because I didn't already own that one, whereas I already own all of the first editions of Stormlight, the first editions of Mistborn. So I said I wasn't going to do that. But yeah, very, very hard. That book's signed too, by the way. So that's really great. Last one I have here. And this, I don't know if you call it a collector's edition as much as it's an anniversary edition of The Lord of the Rings. This is the 50th anniversary edition. This was the first book like this that I think I ever bought. Have my one ring there. This, I had wanted a nice, because I had beaten my paperbacks to death, and I felt like it was time to upgrade to this one. So this came out, I couldn't not get it. I have numerous versions of the Lord of the Rings trilogy now. I even have that new one that came out that has the black speech written on the spine, or on the sprayed edges. But this edition to me will always be my favorite. To me, that looks like the One Ring. I almost do wish you could have the black speech, One Ring to rule them all on this gold edge here, because it just pops so well. But you got some of these famous art. I feel like this art was around for a while before this, and then embossed with Mr. Tolkien's signature, which just makes it even more beautiful. And yeah, that bookmark, I did get that bookmark with it, One Ring to rule them all. But I've had several people being like, yeah, I can't get that bookmark anywhere. Well, when I bought it, I got that with it. So maybe it was something special. You got your map of Middle-earth here, which again, I don't want to pull out right now because it is massive. But yeah, all three editions. You've got your appendices in here, everything. No illustrations outside of, I think, it's got some when they're going through Khazad-dûm, and you see the book, the book that Gandalf is reading from before they're attacked before Khazad-dûm in the Mines of Moria. That's really the only thing that you have in here. Some of those things, some of the translations that Mr. Tolkien spent years painstakingly going through. But I mean, if you want like illustrations and something like that, look for the annotated editions. You can get stuff like that for those. But this, again, it's my favorite trilogy of all time, so of course I'm going to value this one quite a bit. So quite content with these collections that I have here, guys. So what are some of you guys' favorite special editions, collector's editions, or just downright beautiful books? Sometimes they just have to be beautiful. They don't have to be from a special edition company or a special edition or a collector's edition or Criterion or whatever they call those things now. I would love to hear some of them. Guys, do you have any of these? Do you want any of these? Why don't you drop in the comments and let me know, guys, and I will talk to you there.